Good evening, and welcome to the Ferris State University Admitted Student Webcast. Thank you for taking the time out of your night to come and visit with us and learn a little bit about more about the next step and what you have to look forward to as a Ferris State University student. I want to start off by introducing ourselves so you have an idea of who we are and what departments we're representing. I'll start. My name is Jeff Stewart. I'm an admissions recruiter here at Ferris and also work with NCAA eligibility. You want, Sarah?
All right, thanks. My name is Sarah Dew, and I'm Director of Financial Aid here at Ferris.
I'm Noah Moss, a student at Ferris State University and a public relations intern.
Hi everybody, my name is Byron and I am here representing housing. I'm a hall director.
Okay, so to kind of explain how the event is going to work, we have a presentation, as you can see on the screen, that we'll be clicking through as we're explaining our departments and talking a little bit about what's going to be happening. I do see a lot of you have actually already put some questions in there, which is great. We will get to them as we kind of go through the presentation, because some of our presentation will actually answer some of those questions that are already out there. But throughout the presentation, please feel free to post your questions. We'd be happy to answer them. This is really what the event's about. We have a presentation kind of in place, but if we need to change that up a bit and get to more of your concerns or your questions, that's really what we're here for today. So keep those questions coming in, and as I mentioned, we will get to those questions as we can throughout the presentation and throughout the event. So I'll go ahead and start for admissions. Again, thank you for coming out today. We're very happy that you took the time to join us and to learn more about that next step and that journey on becoming a Bulldog of Ferris State University. So to start, congratulations on getting accepted to Ferris and becoming a part of the Bulldog family, the Ferris family, if you will. It's a very exciting time both for you and for us on campus as we're preparing for you to join us this fall semester. In fact, a date that you can put out there, I'm really excited about it, is the first day of classes, and that's actually Monday, August 25th. It's only 214 days away, so we're kind of quickly getting to that time frame. And as we start to transition into, from going into high school into college, there are a lot of questions on what you may have, or you may have a lot of questions regarding how do you pay for it? You know, what can you do while you're here on campus? What kind of activities can you get involved in? And also, where are you going to be living? So that's kind of why we brought these departments together, and brought all of us together today, is to try to get through some of those questions, to try to get through some of maybe that anxiety that you're having on that next step, and get you prepared for 214 days from now. One of the biggest questions, of course, is after a student's accepted, what am I supposed to do next? What can I do to make sure that I'm staying on track, or I am prepared for when I start attending classes at Ferris? So what we've done to kind of help with that is we've created what's called the newly accepted students page. And you can access that, actually, any student can access this from our website. You go to www.ferris.edu, select our admissions page, which is in the top left corner of the screen. From there, you'll actually go to our admissions screen where you can see you can visit campus, you can find out all those visit opportunities if you haven't done so already. All of you have already applied, so you won't have to do that again. We have a link to financial aid. But what I want to point out right now is the newly accepted students link at the top left corner of that screen. That's going to take you to that page that's going to walk you through step by step what you should be focusing on and what you're going to be working at, what you should be preparing for to start your classes here in the fall. One of the first things that in that screen too, as you go through, you're actually going to scroll through and it's going to have different areas for housing, for financial aid, for Berkham Health Center, for orientation, different things like that. So I really encourage you to continually scroll through there. Keep going back to that website as you have questions, because it really will walk you through those steps and make sure you're staying on track to start your journey here at Ferris. One of the first things it's going to actually have you do is fill out or sign in to your MyFSU portal. Now this is actually a portal that you're going to start using now, and you'll actually continue to use while you're here at Ferris, and sometimes maybe even beyond. But typically, it's something that we really encourage you to get into and start logging into weekly. Now that newly accepted students page will actually take you through the steps out of obtaining that login ID, as well as obtaining your password information and going through those steps. So I encourage you to go to that page first so it can walk you through, so you can get into that page and kind of get familiar with it. There's a lot of important information inside. Sarah's going to talk a little bit about a lot about financial aid and how you utilize the MyFSU portal, though. So it's important not only for just your financial aid documentation and different things, but also important for different areas of classes. So when you start taking classes here on campus, you're going to be going into that MyFSU portal to maybe access some of the homework assignments or different things like that. There will be links within that portal for you to then go to that next area to do that homework assignment. Another thing that I want to point out too is you are a Bulldog, so you actually do have a Ferris State University email address to prove it. You can actually start emailing students, emailing different people from your Ferris email address, because it is going to be an active email address that you'll be able to keep for the rest of your life. That email address, email is usually your login information. Your MyFSU portal, of course, will give you more information on what your email address is. But if you have any questions at all of getting into your MyFSU portal, once you're in there, if you have questions about setting up that email account or getting into that email account, definitely reach out to our Technology Assistance Center, or as we call them, TAC. They're really good. They're really there to assist you in those means while you're not here on campus for getting into your MyFSU portal. And then when you're on here on campus and maybe setting up into our network for maybe a laptop or a mobile device or different things like that, they're there for your assistance and your convenience to make sure that you can access these areas and get familiar with those areas while you're here and even before you start attending. Another thing that newly accepted students page is going to get you focused on doing is signing up for summer orientation. Now the sign up doesn't start yet. It actually will be probably mid-February, so keep looking for that link. We'll actually post the link on our Ferris State University homepage. They'll say sign up for summer orientation, and there'll also be links on our admissions page as well for you to sign up for orientation. The sessions typically take place at the end of June and beginning of July. We have 4 or 5 different weeks that we actually host the summer orientation, and it does happen here on campus. A lot of things happen or take place at orientation. It's really kind of like your opportunity to get everything prepared before that August 25th date, or the 214 days away from now date. It's your opportunity to make sure everything's squared away and everything's taken care of and in place for you to start classes and start your journey through Ferris. Some things that you do though that really stand out: you're going to meet with your academic advisors. So you're going to meet with those individuals that are going to really be your guiding light throughout your whole academic career. They're going to be the individuals that are going to be telling you what classes you want to take, what direction you want to go with your degree, really helping you out. So you're not alone in this journey. You're going to have that assistant or that person there that you can reach out to. A lot of times it's going to be the faculty member teaching your classes, so you'll get really familiar with them both inside and outside the classroom. And they're a great resource to keep in contact with. So you'll be meeting with them at orientation. During that time, you'll also sign up for your classes. So that's actually where you're going to sign up for that first semester class schedule. You'll get that assistance by the academic advisors and different department staff members will be there to assist you so that you can ensure that you're signing up for the right classes, that you're on the right track, and you can be prepared to start taking those classes when you arrive here. Some other things you can do, of course, is finalize financial aid and billing, ask those questions that you may have about that, how you're going to be paying for your bill and what to expect with your bill, and then also finalizing housing and dining. And there's so many other things. One thing I always like to point out about our orientation is that this is your opportunity to meet other Ferris State University students. Really get an opportunity to meet those people within your classroom that you may start having classes with. You may find your roommate there. You may find your friend for the rest of your life that you meet at your orientation. So really take that opportunity and really make the most of it. Not only make sure you get those things done that need to be taken care of at orientation, such as signing up for classes and getting the bill taken care of or preparing to take care of the bill, but also to really start to meet those individuals that are going to kind of shape your time while you're here at Ferris. There's a lot of other things coming up that I want to point out. We have our admitted student open houses. Of course, this is great. You're here watching our webcast, as we'll be able to answer a lot of your questions. All of our departments will actually be represented at those open houses. So if you have questions that maybe we didn't answer today, or we couldn't get to, or you think of questions and you want to reach out to us, you can actually come to one of our admitted student open houses. As you see on the screen, we have several different dates coming up. One coming up actually next Saturday is taking place in Auburn Hills. It's at the Chrysler Museum in Auburn Hills, Michigan. So we try to scatter them across the state of Michigan to make it more accommodating and more convenient for you to come and talk to us, maybe right in your backyard. For more information on those admitted student open houses, or to even sign up and or register for those events, check out our admissions page that I kind of highlighted earlier, and then select visit or the admitted student open house link at the bottom of the screen there. So we definitely encourage you to join in on those if you are going to be in the area or if you'd like to be a part of that. Another thing that I always recommend is to visit campus. If you haven't done so already, so you haven't come for maybe a campus tour or checked out our facilities, I really encourage you to do that so you can kind of start getting that feel for what we have to offer. Of course, we're going to have you come back on campus for orientation, but we want you to also visit the campus first to make sure it's the right fit for you, to make sure that you feel like this is your home and that you can get your degree and feel comfortable here for four years while you're going through that journey of Ferris. So definitely come up for a visit. You can sign up right on our admissions webpage for our daily visits. We have Monday through Friday visits that take place here on our campus where you'll be able to meet with someone like me, an admissions recruiter, and then also other people across campus while you're here for the day. We are here to help. So anytime you have any questions, we have that admitted student web page or the newly accepted students page out there. But if you have any questions throughout this whole process, please reach out to us. We don't want to make this a difficult transition. We want to make it as smooth as possible for you to start transitioning from high school into college. So definitely call us either toll free at the 800 number listed or directly at 231-591-2000. And that's actually also another way you can reach out to the whole campus, because that is our general line number. So you can either talk to admissions or you can request to be transferred to another department. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call. If we don't know it, we can get you to that correct department to help you out and get that question answered. You can also email us or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Those avenues we try to keep up to date as much as possible with different events taking place on campus, different tips and tricks and ways for you to prepare, and also different deadlines coming up. So we encourage you to look at those different avenues and, of course, reach out to us again if you have any questions. We'll move on to Sarah. You can talk about financial aid.
Great, thanks, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hoping to do this evening is to give you some things to think of. What do I need to do now, and maybe talk about some things about the process, what to expect and when, and just try to give you a little bit more comfort about the financial aid process and how that works. So the first thing I want to talk about is filing the FAFSA application. And in truth, if you are looking for federal, state, and institutional assistance, this is where it all happens. And all you need to do is complete this one application, which is the free application for federal student aid, which we kindly call FAFSA. So as you can see on the slide, we're saying file as soon after January 1 as possible. So basically now is the time to file the FAFSA for the 2014-15 school year. If you haven't already done so, I would encourage you to do that this weekend. And the reason why financial aid gets pushy about trying to get that FAFSA application filed as soon as possible is to some of the funding that is available to you is limited. So we want to make sure that you're getting the best financial aid package that you can receive. So that's why we're encouraging you to file basically now. You will notice when you go to file the FAFSA application that it's going to ask for income tax information, and since you're filing for the 14-15 school year, it's asking for federal income tax return from 2013. So you're going to look at me and say, well, how do you expect me to fill that out when I haven't even filed my federal income tax return? So my answer to you is, one is don't wait and go ahead and file the FAFSA application. When you go in to file it, it will automatically give you an option to say, I want to estimate my tax return. And that's completely fine to do that, and that's what I would encourage you to do. A little tip to make it easier is if, and it will ask income information for you, the student, if you filed, and the parents' information. If you find that your income information from, let's say, 2012 is not that different than 2013, then pull out those 2012 tax returns, sit down when you go to file it online, and that will just make it a little bit easier because the FAFSA will specifically say, go to line 33 on this tax form and input the information. But the whole message that I want to convey is don't delay. You can always go back to the FAFSA at any time and update that information. So even if you go out and file it and you realize, oh, I answered that wrong, you can always go back out there and correct that. We did have a question from a parent asking about having two students that are in college, and congratulations, by the way, and do we need to file a separate FAFSA? And actually, a FAFSA would have to be applied for each student. And unfortunately, you, the parent, get the joy of inputting that tax information twice. But there's no easy way to copy and paste or to add a student. That FAFSA is tied to that student. They're two different individuals, so two separate applications need to be filed. Moving on, Jeff has touched on the MyFSU, and probably about February 10th is the date that you could go out through MyFSU and take a look at your financial aid. I have a screen here shot a little bit later on that I'll highlight that, but this is a place that you can go in and monitor your financial aid. Does the financial aid office have the FAFSA application? And sometimes when we get the FAFSA application, there's some questions that the government requires us to go in and clarify if they feel that we need a little more information. So if we do, this would be the place to go and look to say, oh, the financial aid office needs, you know, X, Y, and Z from me. So that's where I encourage you to go to make sure that we got the FAFSA application. Is everything complete? And there's different statuses that you can see based on the requirements. So if it's an S, that's a good thing. It's complete. We don't need anything else. If it happens to be needed, there'll be detailed instructions on what we need. And by all means, if you have any questions about what we're asking, give us a call, send us an email, which will be provided later. We'd much rather have you ask now so that we can get it resolved rather than letting that hang out there for a long time and have a negative impact on your financial aid award. So by all means, get in touch with us. I'm going to move on to the next slide, which talks about a process that's called verification. And this may not happen to all of you that may file a FAFSA, but basically 1/3 of the applications that go to the government is selected for a process called verification. And all that means is that they require us to go to you and ask some clarifying information about the information that you put on the FAFSA, typically income tax information. We are required to go through that process, and it must be complete in order for you, the student, to actually receive those funds. So it's a very important process to complete. Now here's a little tip when you go to file the FAFSA application, is that when you file that, based on some of the questions and how you answer it, it will prompt you to actually go to the IRS database directly and have your income tax information, if you've already filed, and have it transferred over. Now you're going to say, yeah, that's nice, but I haven't filed my taxes. I understand. And again, I just mentioned you're going to file using estimated tax information. But go ahead and file estimated, but in a month or a month and a half, when you actually file your income tax information, you go back into the FAFSA, make a correction, and go out to the IRS and have them transfer that information over. If you do it directly from the IRS, that verification process is a lot easier to go through because there's nothing to verify. It came directly from the IRS. So that is the way to do that. Keep in mind, if we are asking, oftentimes what happens is we receive some information which generates more questions, and again, we're just required to make sure that we have any discrepancies resolved so that your FAFSA application is complete and you're receiving all the financial aid that you're eligible for. Moving on, a little tip I wanted to share with you, first of all, is that one, a lot of the information that I'm going over is on our website. So anything that you feel that you need more information or I didn't quite get it, all of this information is out on our financial aid website. And what you're seeing here is our Ferris homepage, and highlighted is financial aid. And once you click on financial aid, we do have several how-to tutorials, and once you go there, you can see we have a variety of different things out there. down at the bottom, you'll see IRS data retrieval. So if you have any issues with trying to complete that, we have a video link or some quick steps there. Looking up a little further, if you get stuck on how do I view my student requirements, we have how-to information there. We have how-to information on accessing my FSU, which Jeff has already gone over, but I wanted you to know that there is a resource page out here for you. Also on the left of that page, you'll also see we've got a deadline page. We have a financial aid process page. That's another great resource that will talk through these various steps in the financial aid process. It may seem overwhelming now. After you get through the first year, every year after that is that much better. So just know that you have those tools available out there, and every time I see that deadlines, that reminds me of another deadline that I wanted to share with you. Is although I mentioned to file your FAFSA application as soon as possible, there's another one that I want you to be aware of. If you happen to be a procrastinator, there is another program from the state of Michigan that's called a Michigan Competitive Scholarship. It does look at an ACT score of 23, and it does have a need component to it, but the state isn't even going to look at your application if you haven't submitted the FAFSA application by March 1st. So that's another deadline I want you to be aware of. If I haven't convinced you already to file the FAFSA application right now, basically, then that's another deadline I want you to be aware of. And again, we're here to try to get you as much financial aid that we can to assist you with your cost. So here we are, you filed your FAFSA application, you've submitted all the documents we need. Now what happens? Well, about mid-March is when we will start sending out what we call financial aid award notices. The first notice that we send you will be by paper, and so you will get that through U.S. Postal Service. We will also send emails. And from this point through the beginning of classes, any email that comes from our office will be sent to your Ferris email account and to the personal email that we have on record. So we want to make sure that you're getting the information that we are communicating to you. So again, as another tidbit, you know, it's always in your Ferris email, which eventually you're going to want to make that transition when you're here on campus in the fall, because that's where we're going to send these important financial aid information to you. But also check your personal email as well. On the award notice, we are going to, part of our job is to put together what we call an award for you, which would include federal, any state money, and any institutional money. And the types of awards that you may get are what you're seeing on the slides there, which are grants and scholarships. That's the good stuff in the everybody wants, because that is in effect free money and you do not have to pay any of that back. So those are good things. You always want to take those no matter what. Another source of financial aid that you may be looking at is work study. And that is where you find a job on campus, apply for a job, find a job on campus, and though you receive a paycheck, and that money is yours. You use it for personal expenses, paying your tuition bill, whatever you need that money, that's your money. But that can be a way, again, for you to get connected on campus and meet a lot of great people throughout campus and help you earn some dollars towards your education. One of the other options that we have is low-interest federal student loans. And notice the words loans, because that is money that you would need to repay after you graduate from school and repay those loans. I want to address here, we had a question on can you explain the TIP program or the tuition incentive program? That is a program from the state of Michigan, and that is where if a student was a Medicaid recipient 24 months out of 36-month time period, usually begins when a student is in middle school. That is an incredible program for you to take advantage of, and frankly the state would have sent you a letter in the mail already indicating that you're eligible. Now if you think that you are eligible or could have a potential, then you want to get in touch with the state of Michigan to make sure that you have that letter. On our financial aid webpage, when you look at the left side, you'll see a types of financial aid. And if you click on that link, it will have state aid and it will have the phone numbers to contact at the state. And what that program is if you come to Ferris and begin an associate's degree, the TIP program will pay up to 24 credit hours for your undergraduate degree in the associate's program, and they will pay up to 80 attempted credit hours. So that is a huge benefit to you if you are a TIP eligible student. And usually once you get that letter, you provide our office with a copy, and then that prompts us to contact you further regarding the tuition incentive program. And that again is for an associate's degree program, and we have several associate degree programs here at Ferris. That was what we would call phase one. If you earn your associate's degree program and you want to continue in a bachelor's program, then you would enter into what's called TIP phase 2, where you get a benefit of $500 per semester for 4 semesters. So that's a little bit about the TIP program, and hopefully I answered your question regarding that one. Moving on, MyFSU. Again, February 10th is when I would start looking in MyFSU, and you can see once you log into MyFSU, there's tabs at the top of MyFSU, and you will see one that is highlighted Academics and Services. Over on the right-hand side of the page, you'll see financial aid has a lot of real estate over there, and I want to highlight a couple of them for you. As I mentioned in March, we're going to send out award notices, and here's where we're going to redirect you to go online and accept your award offer. And this is where you'll be able to take action on any work study or loan offers or scholarship offers that we have available to you. We will always offer you the maximum amount available to you. You're not required to take anything. Of course, side note, you always want to take a grant and a scholarship. But if we're offering you loans and you have other resources to take care of it and you do not want to borrow, just decline the loans, and that's absolutely no problem. Underneath there highlighted is student requirements. That's the place that you can go to say, did the financial aid office receive my FAFSA application? I sent them this form. Did they get it? And that's where you can go. We have various statuses to say this is needed from the student, this is received by the student, this is satisfied by the student. So this is an area in MyFSU that you want to get very familiar with, because this is where you'll take care of a lot of your financial aid business, and you can go out there and look, you know, every hour, every day if you'd like to see where you're at in your financial aid status. So this is an important place to know. Generally, once you get the award notice information, you start talking about, well, how much am I going to need to pay out of pocket? And part of what that financial aid award notice has on it, besides the financial aid that we're offering to you, is a cost of attendance. And that is basically a student budget, average cost of what we think it's going to cost a student to attend Ferris for 2 semesters. So that would include tuition, room and board, books, travel, you know, A to Z. What is it going to cost you to go to school? So let's pretend I sent you an award notice that said it's going to cost you $21,000 for 2 semesters to attend Ferris. And let's pretend I sent you a financial aid award that said I'm offering you $10,000 in financial aid. 21,000 minus 10,000 leaves you with 11,000 that you need to come up with as far as out-of-pocket expenses. If you need to take a look at some additional assistance to help you cover those, as you can see on the slide, we start talking about a Parent Plus loan. A parent can borrow to help you cover the cost of your education, and we also have private alternative loans that are available to you to help you cover that difference as well. While you're out there on our financial aid webpage, we have a whole separate area that highlights loans, that talks about the federal student loans that you, the student, can borrow. It talks about the parent loan and the private alternative loans. You can go out there now and see the options that are available to you, but just want you to be aware of, you know, even if you didn't, you know, you were expecting a little more, there's still another avenue to take a look at to help you cover your costs. Just to give you a little idea about billing, As Jeff mentioned, at orientation, you're going to have a great opportunity to talk to someone in the financial aid office. In truth, before you sign up, we're going to try and reach out to you. So if you have any missing requirements, anything that's yet to be resolved, we want to try and bring that to your attention. If you have any questions, bring whatever documents you need to clarify with you. We'll go over it. We want to make sure that you are in a good position by the time you leave. But at orientation, when you register for classes, that's when you're really going to start narrowing down what is the cost of what it's going to be to attend. Typically after orientation, when you register for your classes, business operations will send a bill. They will be emailed approximately the last week in July, and that would include your tuition, your housing, those type of expenses. So you really get down to the brass tacks of how much is it gonna cost me to attend Ferris. The business operations bills one semester at a time, so you would be looking at one semester. I want you to be aware of that they currently have 3 payment plans, and you can see the different options on the slide as far as paying 50% of the bill, 30 days later 25%, 30 days later the remaining 25%. This would be all after any financial aids or scholarships are being credited to your account. So whatever you owe minus any financial aid and scholarships, and the difference is what you'd be setting up in a payment plan. And just so that you're aware, typically the first bill due date is mid-August. So that's just trying to help you give a timeline of when that first bill is due and what options do you have. We did receive a question as far as how much is tuition. What I can tell you is, for an example, the tuition for this year for a Michigan resident is $365 per credit hour. So if I was going to estimate tuition, if I came to campus and I enrolled for 14 credits fall and spring semester, my tuition would be $10,220. Now, one thing I want to have you be aware of is July 1 is when our board decides on any tuition increases. The last few years, Ferris has made it a priority to minimize any tuition increase, so there may be a slight one. So what I'm giving you is based on what the rates are this year. There might be a slight increase, but I think that gives you a little idea of what the tuition costs would be. Again, $365 for a Michigan resident. As far as housing, what we used in our budgets this past year was $8,910 as far as a room and board cost. Byron might be able to give more specifics for current year rates for upcoming, but again, that just kind of gives you an idea of the cost that you're looking at as far as room and board for 1 year, again, fall, spring semester. And again, a lot of information in a nutshell. Here's all the different ways that you can get in touch with us. Email us, fin8@ferris.edu, call us. We do have a Facebook page as well that we do try to highlight deadlines, timelines, tips, things that you need to be aware of. Like us on Facebook, and so we can stay connected. And if you happen to be in the Big Rapids area, or specifically come to campus and you want to talk to a financial aid advisor, come on in. We have advisors available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4, no appointment necessary, and we're happy to sit down and chat with you regarding any financial aid questions that you have.
Now, a question that a lot of students typically will have is about scholarships and what kind of scholarship opportunities or where they should be looking for scholarships. Do you have any suggestions on that, Sarah?
Sure, absolutely. Again, I'm going to plug our Ferris or financial aid website page. We have a whole section that is highlighted on scholarships. So some of you may have already received a letter from our office saying that you are receiving a Woodbridge and Ferris scholarship, which is fantastic, and congratulations to you. Those are scholarships that are available to you upon admissions. Once you were admitted to Ferris, we automatically looked at you for eligibility and would have sent you a letter. We have on our website, we also have a section of what we call outside resources that are database searches in terms of, aren't necessarily academically related, which is what our Woodbridge and Ferris are, but they are search engines. And if you're willing to put some time in, put some information about yourself, it's more of activities, hobbies, interests, those type of things. You fill out some questions, and these search engines go out and try to find you scholarship opportunities and bring back a list of 10, 15 and say, hey, you might want to check these out. That's one avenue for you to look at scholarships. Again, a way to help you with your costs with free money. So you might want to take a look at those. Another thing I want to mention is that we also have departments and institutional scholarships that are available to students, and now is the time to start looking. And when I say now, let me caveat that to say now as in like a week from today, because we are in the process of coming out with a fabulous new website that has enhanced search features, say that 5 times really fast, that will make it easier for you to find scholarships. And so, you know, in a week, I would check that out, take a look at some of those scholarship opportunities and apply there. Another little tidbit would be to look in your own backyard in terms of, you know, churches, organizations, family works, community foundations. Those are typically what we call outside scholarships. Those could be another resource for you for scholarship opportunities, you know, for money to assist you with your college costs as well.
Excellent, thank you. Another question before we move on to that came in was regarding college. If you took college courses maybe while you were in high school, so you were dual enrolled, or you took courses at the community college, what is the deadline to submit those transcripts to have them transfer in as credit to Ferris? There's not a real deadline. However, I have a suggested time frame that you want to do it. It's as soon as possible, really, that you can get that transcript. As soon as those grades are posted on there, you can get that transcript into us, the better. Mainly, or usually you're going to want to get that, though, definitely before orientation, because your advisor or those staff members in there are going to need to see what classes you've taken at a community college, how they're going to transfer into Ferris to determine where you're at within your curriculum. So the sooner the better really is the best answer I can give on that. But really, once those grades are posted on that transcript and show that you completed that class, get that transcript into us. And that goes for even if you start taking summer classes back at home. Keep having those transcripts sent in to us so that we have the most up-to-date academic data for you to ensure you're staying on track with your curriculum as it's set out for your course. So keep the questions coming as well, and we'll move into Noah with the Center for Leadership Activities and Career Services.
Well, congratulations again on coming to Ferris. I'm really excited to see that you're all coming. Today I want to talk to you about the Center for Leadership Activities and Career Services. We call it CLACS over here as an acronym for short. And so I want to kind of go through those different centers and show you what opportunities there are on campus and what my experience has been, and hopefully motivate you to get active on campus. The first one is the Leadership Center, and this is a great opportunity. We have a number of events that we host throughout the year, and one coming up is Leadership Week. That's coming up February 22nd for us, so only a month away, and we have a great number of events going on. So one of those is an off-campus conference that students can sign up for. That's a leadership conference down in the Grand Rapids region, and students can attend these workshops and kind of develop themselves and look for these different characteristics of leaders that they want to embolden themselves and show up. Additionally, we have some things going on such as 5-star events. 5-star events in nature are educational, but they bring the entire Ferris student body and campus together as a whole. So one that we have to look forward this spring in April is the Herman Boone, who is, remember the Titans, he was the coach for that group of guys. And so he's actually coming to Ferris State campus and going to be speaking at our Williams Auditorium, which is very exciting because we'll bring all the students out, we'll get to hear his story and how that impacted his life, and see how that can maybe affect how you view your life. So great events. We have one every month, and we always look forward to seeing what those new events are going to be and how they can impact students. But what's even more interesting is all these 5-star events are put on by student organizations that are student run. And so we have over 230 student organizations, and they have different categories like Greek life, so your sorority and fraternities. You have your club sports, so there's men and women's lacrosse, club hockey, all these exciting things. Political and religious groups, as well as professional and other organizations. So it's a great opportunity. I myself was on the debate team, and we got to travel on the weekend. So I always encourage you guys to just kind of find one that you're interested in, at least go to a meeting or two. And even if you don't find one that you're not part of, the great thing is you can start your own organization and recruit students from there. So you can be the president or secretary or treasurer of a different organization on campus. So a lot of leadership opportunities just within that little bit of our center there. Another thing we have that's recruiting right when you come here in the fall in 214 days.
Yes.
Is Bulldog Bonanza. So all these organizations come together in our big gymnasium, and you basically get to preview them all. It's a buffet of student organizations, so you get to try it all on and interact with these different student organizations. So you can go by different tables, see what they have to say, see if it's something that interests you, and if it is, you can sign up and they'll get a hold of you. If not, you can move on to the next table. So it's a great opportunity to move and see all these different organizations and network. And lastly, though, what's really fun is while you get involved on campus, you want to make sure that you're recording all this. So from Ferris into the admissions office, you get a transcript that tells you all your interactions you've had on campus from your academic life. So an A in English and maybe a C in that math class you were sleeping in. But the co-curricular transcript is really great because it's an official document from the university that tells you about your outside your academic life. So if you were involved in an organization, it tells that on there. It also shows your volunteer hours. It also shows if you had any interaction on campus. So what that does is it shows employers that you were more involved than just the academic life. It shows that you might have been community minded, shows that you were a leader on campus, shows that you helped host events. So it's a great opportunity. The next one is the Volunteer Center, which will help you build your co-curricular transcript, so if you so choose. We always want to make sure there's opportunities to volunteer. It's important to us that we build the Ferris community as well as the Big Rapids community by volunteering and giving back. So one thing we do for students is a service. Our office hosts the Safe Ride. It's a free shuttle bus that goes around on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights from midnight to 2 a.m. to the local establishments and bars. And if you have friends or yourself who aren't capable of driving, they'll take you home safely. So that's a great opportunity. You can either ride the bus and make sure those students get home safely, or you can use it yourself. So it's a great opportunity to make sure students are safe, get off the volunteer hours. Next is a TIPS training. We call it TIPS for short. It's training for intervention procedures training. And what that is we understand here at Ferris that it's likely you'll be in a situation where there'll be alcohol, and we want to make sure you're prepared for that. So what we do is we give you this certified training that tells you what you should do should you encounter this. And what's fun about it is it's student-led too, so it's not weird or awkward if you had a professor or an administrator teaching it. It walks you through what might happen. So if there's a individual at a party who's not doing well and you think he needs help, it walks you through how you can help him or her and make sure they're safe. So that's the #1 priority here at Ferris. Additionally, we have some fundraising opportunities, and so that's big here. Part of volunteering is fundraising, and we have United Way. And the great thing about the United Way campaign is, well, you can usually give money to these big national organizations. You don't necessarily see the impact. So United Way is great because it keeps it in the local community. And so we have different organizations such as WISE, which is a women's advocacy group here in Big Rapids, and some of the proceeds go to that, and there's a whole bunch of different organizations that receive funding from that. So it's important that we see our own community grow. And lastly, we have a yearly service award. So when you're racking up these volunteer hours, and we have this magic number of 125, if you get 125 volunteer service hours, you get an award at the end of the year and you're recognized for it. The 125 represents the 125 years is our last year anniversary here at Ferris State University, and you recognize the Torchbearer Awards, which I'll touch on in just a little bit. And then we have my favorite center. It's the Career Center, simply because it provides so many opportunities for all the students. And I urge you, if you do anything, join a student organization and check out what the Career Center has to offer. So we have this thing called Career Week, similar to Leadership Week, and we have employers come to a career fair and kind of basically recruit you for jobs or internships over the summer or after graduation. What's fun about this is we just updated the numbers this morning for the one coming up in 2 weeks. We have over 175 employers and counting. So we're really excited to see them all come here. They market to every single major, and it's just a really great opportunity. So even if you come here as a freshman and your professor tells you to get extra credit and go to the career week, I urge you to do it even if you don't need the extra credit for a couple of reasons. You're going to gain that personal skill of interacting with an employer and seeing what it means to do that and how to appropriately do that. And then you can kind of network too. So if you're not ready to get that job at internship, maybe in a summer or two you will be. So I encourage you to kind of touch base with them and connect and let them know that you're interested now so that you have avenues to go down later. Additionally, we have resume and cover letter writing critiques and workshops hosted by our office. So if at any time you fill out your first resume or you think it just doesn't look as good as it could, you send it to our office, and within 24 hours of business hours, we'll go ahead and turn it around and send it back to you, completely edited with a whole bunch of recommendations or fully revised for you. So it's a great opportunity. So if you're getting ready for the career fair, you need to have that checked out. Go ahead and send it over to us, and we'll take a look at it. In addition to that, a lot of people get nervous when they're interviewing, so it's important that we offer that service too. If you come in, sign up, we can have a mock interview with you. So we ask you questions like what's your biggest weakness and how to answer that correctly, because it doesn't seem like there's a good answer. And then kind of walk you through that. So I encourage you to, set up a mock interview, even if you don't have a job coming up. It builds your communication skills. And so we do career planning assistance as well, which kind of helps you establish what you want to be doing after graduation 5 and 10 years down the road. So if you have any questions about this, once you log into MyFSU, there's a thing called a Bulldog Career Link, and it has all this information. And even as an alumni, you can log in and see what job postings are available on the database, which provides nationwide information for employers. So what is the next slide? And the annual events. So we have the Bulldog Beginnings, which happens every year, and right when you come in, so right after orientation and right after you get all your financial stuff straightened around, you come onto campus and you're excited, and we have all these welcome back events. So we have this thing called Meyer Madness, where you go to this local department store, which is very huge. There's blow up bounce houses, there's a dance floor, there's music, there's competitions, there's eating competitions, and just all these great opportunities to meet and greet with people or embarrass yourself. And so it's really fun. We have a large screen we blow up outside, and we have this big movie viewing. We had 2 years ago, we had the Avengers, and we had another movie this past that was really great turnout with a couple hundred students. So I encourage you guys to come out and meet with people and find where you fit on campus. Additionally, every semester we have the sorority and fraternity recruitment, and so that's fun. So if you want to get in an organization and you want someone to kind of mentor you through things, that's a great opportunity and a great avenue to go about doing that. Homecoming, if you guys love football, then you'll love homecoming because it's football combined with a bunch of other events. There's some tailgating that goes on, and it's a great opportunity to raise that money for United Way. And then we have Greek Week, which of course hosts our fraternity and sororities and kind of have canned food drives and these sorts of things to help build your co-curricular transcript. One of the big events that is put on is called the Big Event, and it's put on by Ferris State Student Government, which I just happen to be part of, and Byron used to. He's former president, so you're in quite a presence over here. The great thing about the Big Event is we build that Big Rapids Ferris State community, so we kind of bridge that gap. And what's great about it is we go out, we have several hundred houses in the community that need work, whether they need leaves raked or their fence painted. So we go out and do that. We can fix some basic things. Great opportunity to give back to the community and show that we appreciate, because they do a lot of things for Ferris. It's not always seen. Other things we have going on are the Ferris State or the Ferris Fest, which are outdoor concerts. We have a couple of these. If you take summer classes, we have a summer series of concerts outside, which is a great opportunity to just kind of enjoy, because there's not always a lot going on campus. And then, as I mentioned before, we have these annual Torchbearer Award ceremonies, which take place in the spring, and they're for service, which might be volunteering, and leadership. So the big award is the Torchbearer Award. It shows that you are a Bulldog through and through, and you did all these great outreach or events and this sort of thing. So I really encourage all of you to stay connected, and once you get on campus, to get active and get into a student organization. If you have any questions or you kind of want to follow us, we do have a Facebook page, which is very popular with over 1,000 likes now. I think we just trended. And that is, yes, you can just search Ferris Clacks, which is the acronym for us. And like us there, you can see events that are going on campus, so you can look forward to them and see what else we do. We have some hometown recruiting stuff, so if you want to have someone come to your high school and talk about Ferris, we host some information there. So I encourage you all to like us on Facebook.
And before we move over to housing, we did have a couple questions come in, mainly about, again, with coming to orientation and getting the classes that you may have taken in high school to us. One was about AP classes and how to get the scores to us. We would need you to submit that score report, and then we can get that put onto, or the college or your specific department will then look at your score and determine the placement or the credit that you receive for that. That's advanced placement testing. And then another question is about tech. If you're attending a tech center, and how do you get those credits if there's an articulation agreement or we have an agreement with that tech center that you can get college credit here, how you get that information to us. A lot of times that's going to show up on your transcript, so your high school transcript, or your tech center will have information. So definitely follow up with them and make sure that information sent over to us, much like our college transcripts. Make sure you get that to us before orientation so that we can have that information for your advisor so they can put you into the correct classes. Another question that came up too, kind of with the involvement, and you had mentioned athletics, which I think is kind of what brought this in. If you were a team manager or you were participating in athletics, maybe when you're in high school and you want to continue to do that here, get in contact with our athletics department. They kind of do all of that, whether it be you participating on our teams, so you want to actually become a part of the Ferris State Bulldogs athletic teams. We are Division II and Division I, so you have to do the NCAA requirements, but then also be in contact with our coaches. That's the same with being a team manager or an equipment manager. They do all of that over there, so definitely get in contact with them. There's a link right on our Ferris homepage for the athletics department, and then that has contact information, so you can kind of follow up with them and get involved in that area as well. So we will move over to Byron to talk about housing and residence life.
Hello, everyone. I am here representing the Office of Housing and Residence Life. I'm here to sort of give you a brief synopsis of some of the questions you may have about moving on campus, the different options that you may have, our different themes, some incentives that we have for finances and different things, perks and all of those things. So hopefully I can answer some questions for you. First up, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the different residence life options that we have. So we have some different ones. We have traditional, suite style, and apartment living, and these are really separate because of the focus on the type of student you are, whether it be underclassmen, upperclassmen, a little older, or having a family. With our traditional residence halls, those are more so for incoming freshmen and those underclassmen students. There's a heavier focus with programming. It's more of an upbeat environment, a lot of gaming and having fun in lobbies and different things like that. In our suite style living and apartment living, those are more for our upperclassmen students, not as heavy on the programming and more independent students. And so there's not really that big emphasis on community as in our traditional residence halls. Also in the traditional residence halls, what you'll find is the suite style, you'll have 2 rooms that are connected by a bathroom. And so if you're in a double room, you would be sharing your bathroom with either 3 ladies or 3 gentlemen. And if you're in a single room, you'll only be sharing your bathroom with 1 lady or 1 gentleman. And we like to think that with the Office of Housing and Residence Life, that we have something that we can find something that's comfortable and safe for everyone to have that suitable living environment. Now with our themed housing, basically themed housing is we will designate a floor to be specific to a program or to be specific to honors or health and wellness, and I can sort of describe those different themes for you. With our health and wellness floor, those are really for students who are focused with health and wellness, who like to take care of themselves and who want to be around others who value those same things. In our honors program, we have separate honors halls that are designated for honor students. And one of the perks of being an honor student is that you get a scholarship that will provide you with a single room, which is a great perk. In the honors community, which I am a hall director for, we have a peer mentor program that is very effective. Basically, upperclassmen students who have been through the honors program as freshmen will take on freshman students to sort of guide and show them the ropes of the honors program and help them to get acquainted with it better. The first year experience program is one that I have been an RA for, and it is very near and dear to my heart. It's really for your upbeat students and those who are really excited, who really want to get invested in the campus and leave that footprint and show their face and go to the different sporting events and go to all of the on-campus programming and actually plan the on-campus programming. In the first year experience, you have different requirements where you have to go to volunteer opportunities and events, attend a certain amount of sporting events, attend a certain amount of cultural events. You'll have to plan programs, you'll have to attend. So great opportunity for students to get acquainted with the campus very, very fast. And again, it is a very upbeat community for those preppy students who are excited about the college experience. Our graphic design floor is designed for our graphic design students, and basically in the hall there's equipment to help for students to utilize to help them with their studies with different projects that they have. For instance, in the graphic design hall, you have a study room and computer labs that are in the lobby, and project workshop shops in the basement that provide different tools and resources for those students to use for their projects. Moving on to what's included in the residence halls, we get a lot of questions about the furniture that's included, and I'll focus mainly on the traditional. In a traditional hall that is a double room, you will have in your room a bunk bed that has the frame and 2 mattresses. You'll receive 1 6-drawer dresser, 2 wardrobes with hanging space at the top, and 2 additional drawers at the bottom, 2 desks, 2 chairs, and 2 shelves. And so that is all of the furniture that your room would come equipped with. If you have a double, if it's a single, it would be one of everything that I just mentioned. And basically, a lot of students ask us, what are the things that they can bring, or what should they bring, or what can't they bring? And on our website, ferris.edu/housing, there is information on all of those things. And specifically, if you go to the FAQ at the top on the page and scroll down, and it'll say, what should I bring? There's this thing that I call the golden ticket that you can click on, which is basically a checklist of the key things that we see that people ask us should they bring, or that we see that they forget to bring that they probably should bring. So if you're on your computer, which you are, I definitely encourage you to go to ferris.edu/housing, click on the drop down frequently asked questions or FAQ tab, and then go down to what should I bring, and that would help you out with a lot of your questions as far as what you should bring. As well, our rooms in the traditional style come equipped with utilities. That's your water, that's your heat, cable, internet, and we have our resources that are available to you in our lobbies: gaming, ping pong, pool tables, flat screen televisions, and the desk services. So.
A couple questions that came up. Is rooming at random, or can you select the person you'll be rooming with, and that whole process?
Yep, with your roommate selection, we give you guys a certain allotted time period before we will actually place someone in your room. Usually after orientation, you'll have that time to select a roommate and choose someone who you want to stay with. But as it draws closer to the time for classes to start, and as we get more and more students signing up for housing, we start placing residents in your room. So there's a certain cutoff that you'll find out about after orientation.
And another question, what is the most desired residence hall for an incoming freshman?
That is such a biased question because, well, I've lived in like 7 of them. But if I had to tell you my favorite residence hall, and if you're a freshman student or even a sophomore, because Clark Hall does have the sophomore leadership program, I would recommend Clark Hall just because of the first year experience program. It's very effective. And in Clark, there's this family. It just feels like a family. And I love that feeling, and I was fortunate enough to help create that feeling at one point, but I know that it's very effective, and you will know the campus better. and you will enjoy your time, definitely in Clark. That's a bias thing, though, because Clark's my, like, hometown.
Thank you.
So staying on campus, we really heavily influence students to stay on campus after the required time when they don't have to anymore, because we know the growth that you experience, and we know the things that we offer for you on campus, such as our incentives to kind of give you a heavier push to stay on campus. So if you are a sophomore, or when you are a sophomore, you will have an incentive that will be available to you, and you'll have two options. If you want a private room, instead of paying the full fee for a private room, you just have to pay half. So after paying your room and board charges, if you want a private room, you have to pay an additional fee for that. But instead of paying the full fee, you pay half of the fee. The full fee is $1,016. You have to pay $508 for that. It's sort of similar to the double room discount. If you want to stay in a double and don't want a private, you just pay the double room fee minus half of what a private would cost. So you would pay the double room fee, subtract $508 from that each semester. And then with the junior and senior incentives, once you guys get to that point, you basically get a private room for the price of a double.
So in a nutshell, just stay on campus.
Stay on campus, yes. And I'm going to talk on that. Yeah.
Well, before you talk on that, you had mentioned the requirement, or you are required to live on campus. Can you kind of touch on that and what the requirements are, or what the regulator rules?
Mm-hmm.
Requirement's a good word. Yeah, we'll go with
that. Well, we Jeffrey doesn't like to use requirement because it does sound a little Anyways, our requirement that we have from the University Board of Trustees is that any single student who is not 19 by September 1st, 2014, you are required to live on campus for at least 1 year. So if you, unless also you live 50 road miles from the university. So if you don't stay 50 road miles from the university and you are not 19 by September 1st, then you are required to live on campus for at least 1 year.
And another question about the roommates. So can you kind of touch on how, if you don't know somebody, you don't really have an idea of who can be your roommate, how you guys match them up in housing to someone that maybe has similar interests, or how that whole process works?
Great
if they're coming in blind, if you
That's a great question, because it's scary to just get someone to live with. One of the things that we do is when you sign your housing contract, you fill out a reference, or is that the word that I want to use? A reference form, or a preference form. That's what I was looking for. Preferences. And basically, do you like the room hot or cold? Do you like to play music? Are you like louder than the average person? Do you like quiet environment? And you'll answer all of these different questions based on your preferences. And if you have not selected a roommate by that cutoff date that I spoke of, then we will try to place someone in your room who has as similar preferences as we can find.
Excellent. Is there a cost? Here's a question actually about vehicles. First of all, can freshmen have vehicles on campus, and is there a cost to have the vehicle on campus?
Freshmen are allowed to have vehicles on campus. This is one of the things you'll want to keep your ears open for during orientation, because they talk about this heavily. And you can't actually register your vehicle until you have chosen a residence hall if you're required to live on campus. And your other question?
Is there a cost?
Yes, there is a cost. It is. I've actually never had to pay, because I didn't have a car until my senior year, and then my senior year I was student president. But the cost is $100, I believe, for the entire year. That'll cover your parking on campus, and you'll receive a parking lot, and your car will be nice and safe and secure.
So that actually kind of brings up another question, Byron, because you had mentioned you didn't have a car up until your senior year. That's a lot of students coming in, and a lot of the questions that I see is that students ask, do I need it? Well, they all want a car, but then their parents are saying, no, do they really need a car? what's your feeling on that? Having a car?
I didn't need a car. I just didn't. I had friends. I made a lot of friends, and it's not that I used them for their car. It's not that at all. But they were willing to take me to the places that I need to go. And as much as I love Big Rapids, it's not that big of a city. And so pretty much anywhere that I really needed to go, if I couldn't walk there, I could get a friend to just ride me down the street and to take me to where I needed to go. So I didn't need a vehicle.
And coming from my perspective, I lived on campus for 2 years and I did have a vehicle, and actually I didn't use it a lot just because everything's right here on campus. And my car was a little older, so that kind of takes an idea. But my battery actually died because of the fact I didn't go out and turn it on during the cold months because I never used my car. So just to kind of give you an idea, I mean, everything is here. I mean, you have your meal plan when you're living on campus, so you really don't need to be going shopping for food or anything. People throughout the residence halls are constantly saying, hey, I'm running to the store real fast. Does anybody need a ride? Different things like that. And again, like Byron said, his friends had vehicles, so he was able to go. So don't make that a thing that you need a car to go. I know a lot of people want to use that excuse so they get their car. But you know, if you're kind of afraid that if I don't have a car on campus, how am I going to get around? And Byron's a great example. He didn't have a car until his senior year.
Made it.
And he survived just great. So keep that in mind. Great question though about it, because it's probably one of the #1 questions of an incoming freshman is, can I have a car and how much does it cost? It's very important that you do register your vehicle though, because if you don't, our Department of Public Safety, our security on campus, you'll find a little ticket from them or a little yellow envelope that will charge you for that. So, and it's really just to maintain the security on our campus, as well as ensure that there is parking for our students. So definitely register that vehicle. Don't try to sneak it onto campus because they will find you, and it will be a lot more expensive for you than just paying $100 right off the bat. And again, I'm choosing the roommate. Is there a portal that they go into to fill out that whole preference sheet, or?
Yep. Where you go to sign your housing contract, which is under the University Life tab in your MyFSU, you'll go there and sign your housing contract, and you'll click on the left login link. After you sign your contract, there's a right login link, which is there when you click on the left login link, but you don't want to click on the right login link first. So when you first go in to sign your housing contract, click on the left login link. You'll sign your contract, agree everything, do your preferences page, and then once that's all taken care of, you'll go back in and click on the right login link, and what will come up is you'll be able to choose your meal plan. You'll be able to choose where you want to stay. You'll be able to choose a roommate if you have their information. So that'll all be available.
And is that where they answer the preferences and everything?
They answer the preferences when they sign their contract.
Okay.
So it's before you click I agree to signing your contract.
Perfect. And another question that came in, we'll eventually get to your next slide, Byron, I promise. But what type of security for housing at night is currently going on, or security on campus, I guess, in general?
Well, that can just take us to the next slide, really, because that'll be.
One more question before we do that.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the security question. When do you recommend them signing this housing contract and getting all of that taken care of?
I recommend that you sign your housing contract as soon as possible. One of the main reasons is because when you come for orientation, your stops that you'll have to make will be a lot less, and that means that you will get through orientation into where you need to go a lot quicker if you get that done as soon as possible. If you don't, then that'll be something that you'll have to wait in line for during orientation and take care of that, which could stall you a bit. So that's my #1 reason why you should do that.
It's like an express pass.
Yes. Back to the safety, which I'll touch on my second bullet point. We talked about having a car on campus and like you really don't need it. And I think that goes into convenience. Living on campus really provides you with the convenience of being right next to your classrooms, being right next to the dining facilities, right around where your friends are, and being able to access things by foot. I think that that's a big perk of living on campus, having that convenience and not always having to hop in a car to get somewhere, but being able to walk.
To interfere there again, sorry, but to give you an idea of the size of campus, I mean, because we're talking about the convenience and walking back and forth, and a lot of people, if you visit other colleges, you probably think that's miles. Really, to walk from one end of campus to the other is about a 15 to 20 minute walk. And that's for real. I mean, it's not like I'm a fast walker. You can walk from one end of the campus all the way to the other end in 15 to 20 minutes casually walking. So you're not going to have to jump in your car when you're living on campus to go to the next class. You're going to be walking back and forth. Your car is just going to be parked for your convenience to maybe go off campus throughout your time here. So that's to kind of give you an idea of the convenience as well. The size of the campus is an excellent, I guess, demonstration of that convenience factor.
Now, to touch on safety and security from that question, we have a lot of things in place to keep our residence halls safe. To start, each residence hall is swipe access only. So if you are not a resident of that residence hall, you do not have access to enter, and that means you can't swipe your card and just go in, and our doors aren't just open and anyone can just come in. So we have that security piece in place. We also have 24-hour desk services, where our desk service assistants, they do different rounds throughout the day. They're monitoring constantly through the lobbies, just to ensure the safety of our students, and also to be a social piece for the hall and a resource, a constant resource for residents who may have questions or things that could come up in the middle of the night. Our desks are always open. We also have student staff members, desk service managers, and resident assistants. More so, the resident assistants assist with the safety and security of the halls each night. They really know the residents of the halls, and so if there's someone who may come in that is an unusual patron, then that's something that they can clearly recognize. And also they do rounds as well every single night, just to secure the halls and make sure that the doors are latched and things are locked and things are in place and students are safe. So that's a big thing for the Office of Housing and Residence Life, is that we keep our residents safe. All-inclusive pricing. If you live off campus, you can expect to have different fees and different bills coming in every month and having to keep up with those things. The awesome perk about living on campus is that it's all included in your room and board. You pay it at the beginning, or you adopt that payment plan as she spoke of, and it's taken care of, and you don't have to worry about it other than the payment plan, which really isn't that bad because it's still all together and you're just paying on one thing versus having multiple bills and things to have to worry about. And so that's definitely a perk with living on campus. Our community, this is my favorite because building community is very important to housing, and that's pretty much the main thing that we focus on during training when we train our student staff members during the summer. We know that with the setup of the residence halls, that they are set up to force people to learn and to force people to experience life and to get a taste of the real world, and to really give you the full college experience. There's really nothing like living on campus and experiencing that and having an RA that you can become lifelong friends with and always say that was my RA, because I know I do that all the time. And really building those friendships and living with your friends and experiencing things with your friends and going to programs together and having ups and downs and really getting that full college experience that you couldn't get from home or that you couldn't get from off campus. And I think that that's the biggest thing, the biggest perk that we can focus on, is that community that you get by living on campus. And last, academic support. With living in the residence halls, you're around those who are in your programs. You're around, especially in the honors halls, we have a heavy population of pre-pharmacy students, and they make their own study groups. They come together on their own, and it's not something that we have to force them to do or even facilitate. But you find that when you live around those who are in similar programs or who are in your major, you guys will come together and be that support for each other academically.
Excellent. And another question that came up are, what are the requirements for outside company or friends or people to come onto campus and maybe stay in the residence hall or visit or whatever it may be?
Yep, we have a guest policy, and the guest policy is really in place so that people don't live with you, but it's something that we don't enforce unless either a roommate brings an issue to the staff if a suite mate brings an issue to a staff, if the guest that you're bringing is becoming a nuisance or is disturbing or disrespectful. But we do have that guest policy in place that says that your guest cannot stay more than 10 consecutive days each semester. So we do have something in place for that.
And do they just check their guest into the front desk, or?
It's not anything that you have to check in or register, which is why I say that we don't really enforce it unless it's a seen problem or it's something that's evident that we should enforce.
Okay. And then are you allowed to change your roommates maybe if the situation isn't working out? What's that procedure on getting that change to happen, and who should they talk to if they have problems with their roommates?
Great question. Moving to college and being away from home, people really start discovering who they really are, or they start really missing home. And so you'll find a lot of different experiences and different things that people have to go through. If you are experiencing challenges with your roommate or with your suite mate, we always, or at least I always, try to confront those situations and really do some mediation to try to resolve any issues. And if there's anything that we can do before the move, because again, it's a part of that growing piece and getting that real life experience of living with someone that you might not get along with, and how can you make it work, or how can you find different alternatives or solutions. And so I always try to get those students to really try to see how they can change, or how they can settle or not settle. What's that word? How to just make it work. And if it doesn't work, you always have the option of moving. We can't force you to stay in an environment. We will hold you to your contract if you want to move off campus, but you have the free reign to move anywhere on campus in the residence halls as long as there's an open spot.
You raise a good point. I mean, it coming into, even if you have your roommate assigned to you and your best friends, and then you get on campus, you never lived with your best friend. You never lived with another person sometimes, or shared those things. So it's a great opportunity for you to learn a lot about that environment of sharing and having to have someone else in your personal space, as well as a lot about yourself and how you handle those situations. So I always tell people when I'm talking to them about living on campus and having that roommate, that even when you leave this sort of environment and have that roommate, or once you move off campus and start working in the real world, you're going to have situations that you're going to have to be around somebody on a day-to-day basis, whether it be at your job or in a certain community area where you maybe don't get along with them. So it really gives you that opportunity to start to learn how to deal with those situations. You know, sometimes you can avoid those situations, but sometimes you're thrown into environments that you're stuck with that person. So it really gives you that opportunity to really start to grow, both as an individual and as a partner in that situation, to deal with those sort of circumstances and kind of make the most of that opportunity. So again, the reason why I'm so supportive of living on campus is for all those perks that Byron had mentioned, but also about the learning opportunities just for yourself and the growing opportunities for yourself, both in that residence hall and then also within that sense of community across the campus as well. So great points, and thank you for bringing them up. All right, so if you're throughout this presentation, I hope the next question that you have is actually, is it fall yet? Because as I mentioned, we're very excited to have you come on campus, to have a new class of students, another group of students come onto our campus and join the Ferris State University community and become Bulldogs. And as much as we're excited, we're hoping that you're excited as well, and start really utilizing those links as we had kind of pointed out. I mean, all of us have mentioned your MyFSU portal throughout the presentation. So this is very important that you start getting familiar with those areas now, because you're going to be using it quite a bit when you're here as a student, both for your financial aid needs and also for housing and emails and classes and different things. So definitely go out there and do it. Another thing to look forward to is signing up for orientation and coming up here on orientation. You'll be able to meet with all of these departments that we presented today, kind of get everything squared away, meet with other students that are going to be taking courses here with you on campus, both current students and future students like yourself. So definitely make the most of that opportunity, and make sure you get everything straightened out before coming to class on August 25th, which is 214 days away. Again, if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to contact us. We are here for you, to help you. All of our departments are available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, to assist you throughout this whole process, throughout this transition, throughout your journey from high school into the collegiate lifestyle. So you can call us toll free at that number listed. It's 800-433-7747, and also directly at 231-591-2000. Even though that's just admissions, we can also transfer you outward. That's our main call center as well, so we can get you to the departments. So you don't have to worry about keeping numbers handy. Just keep that one number handy and then call us, and we can get you transferred over to that department so that you can get that question answered at your convenience. So if there aren't any other questions, we are so excited, and we want to thank you for attending this event today. Thank you for participating through your questions. And if there are no other questions, we will see you at orientation. Thank you and have a great night.